Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You guys already know what it is. It's What If Deku Was Betrayed Part 3. And I'm gonna pick off, well, where this part of the script picks off is where Deku is. um, yep. This is, we're gonna start with Deku's point of view. So, when Deku was getting taken away by the police and sent to prison, that's where we're picking up with Deku's point of view. When Deku watched his ash blonde friend turn around and leave back towards the dorms, he finally released the tears he's been holding back all this time. All Might pulled him into a hug, trying to make things better, but it was in vain. As they arrived at Tartarus, they were greeted by the warden, who was informed of the situation and had a hard time believing it. Warden saddened. So this the young man who's going to be staying here from now on? All they got was a response for it was a nod. He and a few guards took Deku into Tartarus and got him situated. He was placed in his cell, but little did he know that his neighbors were people he had already encountered before. For the next few days, Deku cried himself to sleep, barely ate and barely slept. He began to feel emotions he never thought he'd feel again. Anger, rage, heartbreak, and many more. He was becoming a roller coaster of emotions, until one night he heard one of his numbers say something through the shared earphones. Question marks. We don't know. You guys don't know who this is yet. Annoyed, geez, kid, you crying in prison? They're gonna eat you up, eat you alive in here. The other one, annoyed. I must agree with my acquaintance here. Prison is not a such place for such emotions. Deku immediately recognized the voice. Those voices were of the hero, Fantic serial killer, and a tyrant who made him freeze in fear the moment he heard his voice the first time they met. Deku, confused and scared. Stain, all for one. Stain, confused. Yeah, what's it to? What of it? You some low-life thug or something? All for one, piecing it together. I believe I heard that voice somewhere before. Deku, still scared, but calmed down. No thug Stain, just someone who didn't get a fair trial. And all for one, we never officially met, but my name is Zeke Midoriya, aka the former hero Deku. This stunned them both. They each encountered this green-haired boy and knew he had what it took to be a hero, but none more shaken than All for One, staying confused. What's a true hero doing like you in this place? Deku tearing up. I was accused of stealing files from UA and giving them to the League of Villains. Many of my classmates and teachers didn't believe me and shipped me here. Even my girlfriend didn't even give me a chance to say anything. Stain was stunned. He knew this boy had the heart of a true hero, but they were blinded by rage and they didn't even see the whole picture. All for one, trying to keep his composure. So, young man, you say you were framed and locked in here. Might as well get used to it being here, then. Deku trying to remain positive. You're right about that, sir. I don't know how long I'm gonna be in here, but I know my friends and daughter are trying to find a way to get me out. All for one, but couldn't help but smile at the boy's optimism. But what caught his attention was his daughter. But before he could ask, someone beat him to the punch. Staying confused. Wait, you're only a hero in training. You already had a daughter. Have a daughter. Deku sheepish. I adopted her after I rescued her from the Yakuza gang leader, who was using her for her blood to make quick racing bullets. She was probably one of the best things that happened to me before this. He couldn't help but shed a few tears knowing he may never see his daughter again. Owen decided to finally say something he's been hiding. I cannot but grin at this. So Inko finally got her wish to have grown babies, huh? This confused Stain but filled Deku with fear, knowing that the most dangerous villain in history knows his mother. Deku's scared. How do you know my mother? All for one couldn't help but chuckle. Before I answer that, child, what do you know of your father? Deku confused. I don't know much, other than his name was Sasashi Midoriya. He worked overseas and provided for his family. What does this have to do with my mother? Everyone couldn't help but smile. I see she chose the lie I told her. Tell her to tell you. Young man, this may be difficult to process, but my real name is indeed Sashi Midoriya, your father. Yes, I'm going with that theory, and I love it. It would be a great plot twist. Yes, All For One is Deku's father. Deku was stunned by the revelation that he was the child of the man who almost killed All Might, not once, but twice, and forced him into retirement. Deku stunned, but if you're my dad, where have you been all this time? All For One a little surprised. I'm surprised you accepted the truth so quickly. But to answer your question, as you are aware, I'm one of the most dangerous, if not the most dangerous individual out there, and there are also gardeners. Some people hate garners. Some hate from certain people. So if they found out I had a family, you would be targeted. They would be targeted. So that is why I chose to leave you and your mother, so that you wouldn't be, so that you can have somewhat a normal life away from my line of work. Deku stood there and processed the information he was given. He now understood who his father was, and why he wasn't around, but something just couldn't accept. At least not fully. This is Deku. This is a lot of process not too long ago. I was betrayed by those I called friends, and now I'm the son of the most dangerous villain in history. Stay trained to comprehend everything. Take it easy, kid. Not every hero has the sunshine and rainbows past. That's true. Take Aizawa, for example. At least now you know your father. And even if he was the man in charge of that blue-haired child. Oh, I get it. Father, even if he was the man in charge of that blue-haired man-child. All For One chuckled a bit. You're not wrong. I believe I have colded young Tomura too much. But now he makes his own decisions. Deku getting tired. I think I'm gonna go to bed. This is a lot to process. It's okay if I ask some questions tomorrow. All For One smiled. Of course, my boy. That's what I'm here for. Deku just nodded and drifted off to sleep, and Stan continued to question All For One. Staying concerned. So are you really the boy's father? All For One smiled. Indeed, I know. I may have not been the best father out there, but now I have time to make amends for my past mistakes. Stay inside. I see. Just try not to corrupt him. He's one of the few true heroes out there, even if he's stuck in here. All For One chuckled. Don't worry, I'll support him whatever decision Izuku makes. But personally, I wish him to remain a hero, even if they wronged him. When or if they find out the truth. Stain just gave a sigh in response and turned in for the night, leaving All For One all alone with his thoughts, knowing that tomorrow is going to be a busy day for Izuku. Point two things out. We all got respect for Stain, and we got Dad for one. I'm sorry, I couldn't. It was the next morning, and all three cell neighbors woke up and began the day. They were immediately taken to the cafeteria for breakfast, or in All For One's case, breakfast paste, considering he is on life support and can't really take the mask off to eat. They chose to sit together, and when the other prisoners finally noticed him, the kid that was here a few days ago was sitting there at the dog table without any issue. Some looked in respect and others in admiration, while others looked in envy and rage. The trio ate / slurped in comfortable silence until All For One decided to lay some information out for Deku. All for One explaining, Ezekiel, my boy, there's another truth you may need to know as well. This catches both inmates' attention. They can hear the seriousness in his voice, but they put their eating utensils down and gave him their full attention. Deku concerned, what is it, Dad? It was clear that Deku finally chose to accept the truth, but surprisingly in so little time. But it was also clear that he was not used to calling anyone Dad. All for One smiles. Well, you accepted the truth a little faster than I expected, but aside from that, it's time that you know the truth about your quirk. Your truth quirk is, you see, you also possess All for One. I was able to take it from birth because an infant who held the power to take quirks wouldn't be able to handle the strain that it would hold on one's body. Basically what he's saying, it's kind of like One for All, before Deku did all the training. When Deku did all the training, if he got One for All then, he would have, in All Might's interpretation, all of his limbs would have exploded off of him. Basically the same thing would have happened if Deku manifested All for One. If he would have gotten All for One without, the proper training, he would have died from it. So that's why, his father took it before that could happen. Deku slowly listened to his father, what was telling him. He was the reason he was quirkless. He went through a hell of a childhood, but maybe it was better considering he might have labeled it as a villain for his quirk. But it was all very confusing. Not only was he the son of the #1 villain, but he also had the most dangerous quirk in existence. Well, not anymore, but still. Staying confused. Wait. But if you took his quirk from birth, how does he have a quirk that he used to defeat me with? All for One conflicted. Very well, I will tell you later, considering you put the pieces together rather quickly. This gets a nod from the Fantic as they return to their morning meal and continue to eat in silence until they return back to their cells. As they got back to their cells, All for One began to explain the tale of All for One and One for All, with Deku filling in the gaps when necessary. To say Stain was stunned. He wouldn't quite put it into words. He just learned the boy who defeated him was not just the child of the most dangerous villain alive, also the successor of the most true-hearted heroes out there by inheriting his quirk. Staying processing. Wow. Just wow. I didn't think this kid would still be full of surprises, but I guess you proved me wrong. Deku confused. You're handling the situation this much better than I expected, Stain. All for One confused. Indeed, I expected you to be freaking out or something. Staying processing. Well, yes, I should be, but it kind of doesn't make sense. I mean, there are quirks out there with many different types of things. So I wouldn't to be too surprising to hear a quirk that can be passed on. Stain staring at his wall wide-eyed. I'm such an idiot. Of course there's quirks with unknown capabilities. Hell, when I first fought Stain, I didn't even know what his quirk was. This gets a chuckle from All for One. He couldn't help but be amused at the conversation going on between the two. So it was lunchtime, and All for One's doctor's appointment. Stain decided to stay in his cell, since he wasn't hungry. So Deku went to eat alone, but little did he know, the inmates were planning a surprise. Pretty sure you guys already know where this is going. As soon as it was time for... As Deku was minding his own business in line, he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his side. He touched there. He felt the pain, immediately felt blood. And began to panic, call for help, but when someone put a hand over his mouth and began to talk, Inmate 1 sadistic. We don't like fresh meat things. They can sit with a big boss here. Inmate 2 grinning like a madman. Exactly, it looks like we gotta knock you down a peg. As they did, they continued to stab and beat Deku till there was nothing but a broken body and a pile of blood. The guards immediately rushed into the infirmary. And that's when All for One saw the state of his son and couldn't help but feel anger and rage for those who did this. But he knew now was not the time. He had to save his son. As the doctors tried everything to save him, All for One came to see them came in to see them in panic. All for One trying to hide his rage. "Excuse me, doctors. I believe I can help. I have a quirk that can save my son." The doctors were stunned by the revelation that the boy that they were trying to save was the most dangerous man in existence, owned flesh and blood. They thought he was lying, but one of them had a quirk that told them otherwise. They knew it was risky, but they took a vow to not let any patient die under their watch. So they reluctantly agreed. So they removed his quirk canceling gear and strapped him so he can move his arms. All for One wheeled up to his son's side and placed his hand on his head, gave him his All for One quirk back, and began to give him almost every quirk in order to save him. But by the time All for One was done, he was gasping for air, to which the doctors tried to help him relax and get his breathing under control, but what caught their attention, after a loud gasp for air as Deku shot up from his bed, he couldn't see as his eyes were bandaged up. The doctors split into two teams, taking All for One All for One user to make sure he's alright. By sheer luck, they were. The doctor sighed in relief. "Okay, son, you gave us quite a scare there, but it looks like your dad fixed you up. As good as new. But with the injuries you sustained, you most likely got some new scars." Deku just nods. I slowly remove his, the doctor slowly removed his bandages. They were stunned. Deku's once emerald green eyes were now a ruby red. He seemed he gotten a scar over his right eye. They gave him a mirror so he could see what they were staring at. When he saw he was stunned, but couldn't help but like it. That's what I'm saying. Deku looks good with red eyes, and you cannot tell me otherwise. But he couldn't help but like it. They then brought him back to their cells, but Deku asked if he can remain with his father, which the guards agreed to thank him, and turned to his father, who just saved him. Deku smiling through his tears and hugging him. "Thanks, Dad. I don't know how to repay you." All for One smiles, but knows his time is coming. "Think of it as nothing, my boy. But I should tell you that All for One may corrupt the user. But now, considering you hold both One for All, there isn't anything to worry about. But be warned, you may feel the unusual hunger for quirks. That's why I gave you pretty much every quirk I had even given you the ones that pretty much keeping me in this world. Hopefully that'll sustain your hunger for a long time. That being said, my time has come, my boy. I'm just glad I got to see the young man you became, and know that you'll do great things." Deku couldn't help but cry, knowing his father, who's been gone all of his life, who just came back and saved his own life, was dying about to die right in front of him. He hugged him harder and let the tears roll out. Deku crying, "I just got you sobbing again. Back in sob my life. Sob. You can't leave." Deku's just sobbing. Very much so. All for One trying to cheer up his boy. "Fear not, my boy, as long as you remember someone, then they are never truly gone. Just promise that you'll continue to be the best hero out there and show those who didn't believe in you why you're." I lost my track. Hold up. "Just promise that you will continue to be the best hero out there and show those who didn't believe in you why you're not what they accuse you of. And say hello to my granddaughter for me, my son." Deku sobbing. "Okay, Dad, I promise to be the best hero one you can be proud of." All for One taking his last breath. "You already made me proud, my boy. I'm just sorry I couldn't see you grow. But with that, All for One drew his last breath. It was no longer All for One, by a father named Hisashi Midoriya. You cannot but not shed a few tears. That Deku, just got his father back. His father then saved his life, but then died. You gotta feel bad for the man. But that's it for this part, guys. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Peace.